All right, mic check. Mic check. Looks like it's working. All righty. All right. And here we go. Hello. Oh, shoot. I didn't mean to have that on. Wait. Let's take face tracking off. There we go. Alrighty. Hold on. Apparently my link is incorrect. Let me share that out to everybody. Apparently I messed that up. Some technical issue. Oh no, that's working. All right, so it's working now. Huh. I don't know what's going on. No, that's weird. Anyways, now that that's hopefully working, we'll see. So just gonna finish setting up here. All right, picture quality is going to suffer slightly for a minute as light floods in here. So oh shoot, I can't use those ones. I'm just looking for a board. I am not prepared today to start, but whatever. It happens. So because of my painting setup, I don't what's it called? I always tape my painting to a board of some kind and clamp that to basically another board. It's an overly complicated way of doing things. But there's good reason for it. The reason for it is that it allows me to have my palette and my painting side by side vertically. And it allows me to switch out my what's it called? My paintings, but keep my setup as is. As long as the sizes aren't crazy different. So today is going to be a little different than normal, I guess. Yeah, slightly different. I'm going to be working on this painting. So I'm going to be trying a different technique than I normally do. I'm going to be doing transparent or translucent washes on it, and it's going to be a monochrome. Although technically it might be duochrome, I don't know. But yeah, that's the idea. That's a plan for today. So yeah, so it should be fun. I have a couple painting, another painting like this afterwards, but getting ahead of myself. Anyways, yes, it's gonna be should be fairly straightforward. I don't normally draw out things like this, but I used to, so should be able to make it work. Just need to tape it down real quick if I can find my tape. I swear to God, everything is in this location and I still lose everything. It's a absolute talent. So when I tape paper to boards, you have a couple options. You can obviously do tape loops like on the back, but it doesn't work as well for paper as it does for like hard boards. You can of course put tape on the front, but then you have tape on the front. So what I do is I put tape on the back and then I tape the tape to the board. Slightly overcomplicated, but I feel like it's the best option. Although if your paper is really curling on you, it's probably not the best option. Like if your paper is severely warped, you probably want to just tape it down normal. So this is actually the sticky side right now. If your goal is to waste as little tape as possible, this is probably not the way to go, but I don't know. Tape is made, like I buy it to use it, not to, hoard it. So when I did watercolors, we used to just put literal push pins into the corners of the paper. I don't know if that's actually the best way of doing it, but that was how my art teacher taught us when I learned watercolors. All right. It's close. It's a little skewed there. I will give it like a very short try to fix, but it's such a pain in the butt to fix the skew on this thing. It's crazy. All right. Close enough. It's never going to be 100% dead on, but that's pretty close. Yeah, I think it's pretty close. All right. Time to get cracking on this one. Oh, before I do have a quick review of a product, so I can talk about that too. Um, 1 second, as soon as I find my paint. There we go. Alrighty. So, start off with a quick product review. Let me actually go to my face cam real quick. All right. So, I bought this from Jerry's Artorama, but it's not made by them. This is, I think it's made by Golden. It's a little thing to open paint tubes, right? Like you put the paint tube lid in it and grab it and you can twist it open. I got this because sometimes I have a hard time opening tubes, especially with my gloves on when I'm painting. Don't buy this. I thought it was decent, but honestly, it's not worth it. It's breaking already on top. It's cracking. I've only had it for a short time. And more importantly, when I had a tube that was actually difficult to open, it failed miserably. So it's just not worth it. This, on the other hand, is I don't know what brand that is. It says "Do It Best." I don't know if that's the brand or not, but you know, this is from the hardware store. This works really well. You have to be careful not to crush your your top. the top of the what's it called, of the paint tube, but works so much better. So just wanted to give a quick little product review there. Also, surprisingly, the what's it called? The plastic thing tore up my paint tube lid more than the metal thing did. So yeah, all around, not great. All right, so today, like I said in the beginning, it's going to be a monochrome. It's just going to be a wash of raw umber, which I'm not a fan of generally. Um, that's not right. I do like it. It's a good color. It's good paint. It just it has properties that I generally don't like. It, although they can be very useful. It tends to dry much quicker than a lot of other paints. It is cheaper, which is good. It's on the like cheap end of things. Um, and it's very, you know, it's an earth color that works really well with most most things, because most things in the world are kind of gray and brown. So it's very useful. So all of these colors here are useless to me today. It is only going to be raw umber today. And the reason I'm doing this, I am taking a class with Nicholas Uribe, who is an artist that I absolutely love. He has a YouTube channel called Our Painted Lives, and he's fantastic. So that is what is happening today. And if for some reason this goes unbelievably fast, I do have another painting to start working on. So what what is happening here with the face tracking today? Now, normally when people tone a canvas, normally, generally, I should say, when people tone a canvas, they use what's it called? Um, Solvents. Generally, it's they use solvents. I don't use solvents in my painting, so I'm just using oil. Um, but I'm put this first layer, even though it's a fat layer because it's going to be a lot of oil. It's going to be a very thin layer, so I think it should be fine once I put a second layer on top of it. So I did prep this paper with um, oh, acrylic matte medium, but I was low on time, so I only did one layer. Usually I like to do two minimum. So I might struggle to what's it called? Wipe down all the way to the paper again because it might absorb some of the paint. That's not entirely a bad thing given that I do want this to dry relatively quick. Here, like this and this marks make me think that those areas weren't covered that well with the acrylic binder. So normally I don't draw everything out like this. Um, there's a bit of a different work. I used to. That used to be very common for me, but I tend to go for a looser style now. Um, we'll see how this goes today, incorporating this process into my current process. What is, I don't know, nice is the right word, but it lets me zoom in much earlier than normal on the reference because I took the time to draw it all out prior. Although there are some mistakes to the drawing, which I'm going to have to, which I'm going to try and correct right now. So this painting is going to have at least two layers to it, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to be wiping off paint right now, and then later, once this dries, I'm going to be going in with white to wipe off, to not wipe off, to put in all the lights. So it'll have at least two layers. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to lighten this whole thing up with a paper towel first. Let's see how that works over here. Yeah. Want the paper toned, but not that dark. Like I said, this stuff I think is where there wasn't enough coverage from the acrylic binder. So I actually, given how dry this is, I might not need to really wait to put in some of the highlights, at least some of the more, what's it called? Some of the thicker highlights. We'll see. Definitely going to be starting off with the darks, though. Either way. If I didn't hate using it, it would probably be great. A great time to use some alkyd media or some quick drying medium, like Liquane or something. But I am not really a fan of those, so yeah, don't plan on doing that. So painting in this style where you uh, draw everything in, well, just because you draw everything in doesn't mean it's this style. Like you can still switch up the styles a lot, but painting in this manner where you put in like a more transparent wash does have some benefits to it that I will be happy to cover in a minute. But first, we have a cat. So it's cat time. Isn't that right, Dresden? Oh, baby boy. Hi, baby boy. Why do you like licking my beard on stream so much? Uh, okay, okay. He doesn't do this nearly this much off stream. I don't know why. Okay, little boy. Thank you. Okay, okay. All right. His claws hurt so much right now. Oh, he's kneading my shoulder. Little knives. Okay, okay, that hurts too much, little boy. Ow. Oh, little boy, that hurts. That hurts. Oh. Okay, okay. Michelle, he is my cat. I know I stole him, but he's my cat. Clearly. Tristan, enough. Okay, and Okay, Tristan. Okay, okay. All right, little boy. Little boy. Oh, you're such a sweetheart. Okay, okay, little boy. Why don't you take my chair? I have to get back to painting. All right, I have to get back to painting. I love you. You're such a sweetheart. Okay. All right. Oh, it's little knives hurt so much. Ah, I need to wash my face after this. Ah, he is too fluffy. All right. All right, trying to remember where I was, both in painting and talking. I think I was saying that painting in this style has some advantages. Um, it lets you kind of um, like I don't like this phrasing necessarily, but it lets you kind of creep up on the painting a little more. Like you don't have to be as deliberate with your paint marks, at least in the beginning, because you can slowly build it up. So uh, I'm sure for many people that's an advantage. Personally, I don't know. I clearly have developed a system and a style lately that doesn't entirely gel with this. Not that I can't do this, obviously, or that it's completely incompatible. It's just not um, a natural fit, let's say. There's also a degree of, no, I was going to say wasted steps, but the reality is every painting's, um, what's it called? Not system, but techniques that I know of has wasted steps in it. We're not printers, you know. If we were, there'd be no wasted steps. Yeah, this definitely didn't get enough coverage here with the oil or acrylic, I mean. Oh well. But yeah, it's definitely. Um, I could see if you're not super comfortable with certain aspects of painting, this would feel very secure. This system. Did I finish the other one? No, I did not. It's adding to the pile of paintings that I need to finish. I'm 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 growing a stack of paintings that I need to finish. The reason I'm not continuing that one and I'm working on this one right now is I started a class with started taking a class with Nicholas Uribe, um, because you're never too good to keep growing and learning. Um, and there's homework, and I am limited on time, so it's going to be on stream. And if I finish it real quick, I'm gonna get back to the other one. I do like that other painting. It is coming along real nice. You looked him up after I mentioned him the other day? Oh, nice. He's great. His live streams are really good too. Um, yeah. What did you think of his paintings? And obviously, taste is personal. So if it's not for you, it's not for you. I'd never, you know, uh, yeah. I'd be shocked, but whatever. Uh, let's see. Rob's dead now says, "Hey, Leon, I was just working with my transparent painting for the class as well." Hey, Rob, welcome. I invited the people from the class to stop by if they wanted to. Welcome. How is your transparent thing going? Did make some mistakes on this drawing, so usually that's not a big deal. But because there's a bit more transparency to it this time, it's a slightly bigger deal than normal. But I will be putting white on this, so I will get an opaque layer in. Hi, Justin. Justin, little boy. Oh, he's so sweet. My cat is named Dresden, in case anybody's just coming in, just wondering what I'm talking about. You can rewind on the stream and uh see him try and eat my face. Little boy. Okay, okay. Literally sitting on my feet. So apparently I've not given him enough attention. Oh, oh, we're right back at it, huh? Say hi, Justin. Yeah. Oh, not again. Good. Not again. Thank you. That was enough grooming for today. Justin, this isn't a cat stream. It's a painting stream. Yeah. Justin, enough with the grooming, okay, little boy? Okay, little boy. Alrighty, come on. Mm. So, for anyone who's watching right now, I am simulcast streaming to Twitch and YouTube. I say this all the time. I think Twitch has better chat functionality, but YouTube lets me stream at 4K. So if you want to zoom in, YouTube's the place to go. If you want to chat more, I guess Twitch. But either is fine for chats. I see chats in both. I definitely prioritize YouTube over Twitch if there's ever an issue. Um, Simply because of the recording um, quality. I should be recording this while streaming it, but at the moment I'm just streaming it. If I ever need any video from this, I'll just grab the online recording. Well, I'm also, what's the word? I'm also doing a time lapse with my cell phone. So a little of a second recording, but not quite the same. How's your homework going, Rob? You don't mind me asking. You're welcome to not share. It's just curious. How's it going? I like the class. I mean, we've only had one get together. I do want to have more social get-togethers with the people in the class. I do like networking, so to speak, or getting to know people, however you want to phrase it. I think it's always good to connect with other artists. Part of the reason I stream. I guess I can talk a bit about some of the other aspects of working in this kind of technique. Um, Obviously, the main focus of a technique like this is value and form. Um, if it just make not sure if that's obvious to everybody, but yeah, that is the focus of it. Um, and there's a saying that value is king. I've heard some people say, or the most important thing is values, and there's a truth to that. If you get your values right, the color is far less important, generally speaking. But that's a very narrow way of looking at it, I think, because there's so many ways that that could be, um, like, yes, that could be true, but it just depends on what you want your painting to, I guess, say or convey. So kind of depends. Um, the other big advantage, well, difference, I should say, is that paint has different properties when it's translucent versus opaque. Because the light passes through it, it gets a kind of luminosity that it does not get when it's um, painted on opaquely. The other thing is that it also, not only does it get that luminosity, but also some colors shift through that process and they can look quite a bit different. Um, and usually more saturated or just um, more. Well, I don't know if more is the right word, but they can look different, basically. Um, one of there's a paint. I think it's called gold green or something, and it looks when it comes out, it looks. If I'm not mistaken, I don't use it, so I don't know, but it. So I've seen it. I just don't use it. It comes out looking more green, and then as you thin it down, it has a gold glow to it, kind of yellowish. It's a very pretty color. I've seen it used. It's very pretty. Um, I don't normally paint with transparencies, so it's kind of a waste on my palette, but that's why I don't, that's why I've never bought any. In case anyone's wondering, yes, this is just a regular Q-tip. Everything's wet, so I can just go in and move it around. If I need to actually wipe all the way down, I'll use the wipe out tool. But the Q-tip works really well for like softening things. Rob's Rob says, I don't paint with transparency that much either, so this is a bit of a challenge. Yeah, I mean, you're not. I understand that feeling. It's not 100% like we're painting with transparency though, because we're painting part of it with transparency, right? Because the plan is to go into it with white afterwards. I almost didn't mute in time. I'm so glad I did. Ah, allergies killing me. What else is new? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, unless I misunderstood everything, we're going to be going into this with some white after the fact. So, you know, we've got some leeway there. Also, I'm trying to think of it kind of like wet drawing because it's kind of like drawing with charcoal almost. Because the same way when you draw with charcoal, you can kind of wipe things off and so on. So it's kind of like that. Also, and this might just be me. I didn't prime my surface maybe well enough, and so it's a bit more absorbent than I normally would go for. But that's working in my favor today. Because I'm not saying that this is completely dry, but it is. The wash part is pretty close to dry. Like it's not coming up easy. I wonder what it would be like to try and paint like this with transparency, but without doing the drawing first. Like I wonder if that's a that if that anyone works like that. It feels a little counterintuitive that it would work, but who knows? Oh, hey, Rob didn't do the drawing first. That's awesome. He says probably a mistake on his part, but he likes drawing with paint. Yeah, so do I. I think that's really interesting. Oh, you're gonna have. I'm looking forward to seeing your results because I can see that being, I want to say, a mistake, but definitely challenging. Like it probably adds a element, a challenge to it that, you know, everyone else probably is not going to have to deal with. But it might, even though it might be challenging, it might result in fantastic, you know, outcomes. So just because something's challenging doesn't mean it's bad. Hey, our chappy, how's it going? Hey, Des, welcome back. How are you doing? Excuse me for a second. I'm still here. Just I don't like blowing my nose on camera. I'm always worried. Our chappy says, "Not too bad. Thanks yourself. I'm doing all right. So I'm working on a some homework for a class I'm taking with Nicholas Uribe uh, because I think it's important to. Well, first of all, I love Nicholas. He's such a good artist. I love him as a painter. He's been such a big influence on me lately. So having the opportunity to work with him like that is fantastic. And then, like I also said earlier, you know, you're never too good or too experienced to learn more. So, you know, that's what I'm working on right now. My other painting that I've worked on last time is going to be taking a little bit of a break because I am limited on time. Rob says, "Have you been in any of his previous classes?" No, I haven't. Uh, have you? You have not. Okay. Yeah. No, I haven't either. I talked to him about it. Um, you know, we had a good conversation about whether about taking his class and so on. Art Chappie says, "Remind me, I have to set homework for my art group." Nice. What's this art group about? So he didn't exactly do this, but I don't entirely care. I'm using Q-tips to like tone in some of the areas because I don't know why not. It's a for me it's a good way of controlling things. Only thing is there's some mistakes here that I'm not going to be able to correct until I go in with some white paint. There's just some things that are in the wrong spot. The only way to fix them is to go in with something that can cover, that is lighter, that can cover. Uh, our chappy says local artists meet up every Wednesday. Group's been going for 70 years. Wow, that's impressive. That's really cool. I wish I wish there were good art meetups in my area. I'm not saying there aren't any, but there's a great art school in my area. It's a little far for me personally, but it's a good school. In fact, Nicholas Uribe taught a workshop there once. The Atelier Art Dojo in Austin. It's really good school, really good teachers. But more of a like get together where you're less like school, more like hanging out type of thing would be cool too. Our chappie says we have new artists and people who've been painting for 60 years plus. One member is 92, a naturist and a gypsy. He's got some great life stories. Damn, that sounds awesome. So here I made a mistake. The pencil lines are just literally like the dark part is in between the dark parts I put down. So there's no way for me to fix this in the transparency stage. I'm gonna have to go over it with some white paint, basically. Art Chappie says some members it's the only time of the week they get out. I feel that. I don't get out enough. We'll leave it at that. Bez says that would be me. Yeah, it's about me too. Hey, Catherine. Welcome. cool drawing. Thank you. Thank you so much. How are you doing, Catherine? I'm doing all right. So this is for a class with Nicholas Uribe. Are you um I get people mixed up, so I'm like, I don't know who knows who and so on. But anyways, yeah, this is for that class I'm taking with him. And I have a limited time, so I'm doing homework on stream. And the idea is to paint with transparency, which is not something I normally do anymore. I have in the past, but it's not anymore. So it is a bit of a challenge. Painting with transparency, like I've said earlier, definitely has some advantages, but also has its disadvantages. Just depends on what you want. But yeah, so I did the drawing first, sealed it with some acrylic binder, and now I am laying in a layer of paint to tone it and give it form. And then I will be going in eventually with some opaque and transparent whites to give it more form. This says Arthur Gaines says to paint the shadows with transparency. I assume the bottom paint has to be mostly dry before you do that. Uh, Before you paint over it, yeah. The reason he said it's very common that people say to paint the uh, first layer with transparency. The thing is, like, there's many reasons for it, and there's a lot of reasons to do it that way. Um, the thing is, it just in painting, like in everything, not in everything, but like in a lot of things, it's just a matter of preference and what you're trying to achieve and why. So, you want the first layer to be thin, and usually when people paint with transparency, they paint, you want it to be thin and lean, and people usually paint with solvents, and that makes it lean. It also dries faster that way, so it's easy to like paint in layers quickly. And transparency does have a lot of really cool effects that like opaqueness isn't entirely capable of achieving. So those are all reasons to do that. Are reasons not to, though, which I can get into as well. Catherine says, how cool you're following his course. You wanted to, but this period is not so convenient for me. You hope to next time. Do I have to be super fast registering? Yeah, you got to be super fast registering. His class sold out in, I don't know. I know it was under 30 minutes. Hi, Tristan. Little boy. I don't know what's going on with you today. Normally, you don't want this much attention until after dinner. So yeah, his class sold out super fast. So going back and talking about like why you might not want transparency. Uh, oh, 1 second. Okay, gonna prepare for this 1 second, and I'm gonna screw this name up. Alicio, welcome. Good to see you. I always get Alicio's name wrong. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's just slightly wrong versus horribly wrong this time. Catherine, I'm sure it will be super interesting. And yeah, it is crazy how fast it sold out. But he is doing more than, at least the plan. My understanding is the plan is to do more than one course this year. So you have another shot later. Lisa says, "Here we have the new Van Gogh." No, thank you. I'd like to keep them, please. I'm good. I have two, and I would like to keep it that way. Uh, no, but thank you. That's very sweet. Um, so yeah, we'll see. I'm sure the class will be super interesting. We just had our first lesson, so you know, very beginning stages. Speaking of Van Gogh, I do like the theory that he supposedly he didn't actually cut his ear off, but he was actually attacked and didn't want to get his friend in trouble, so he didn't. So he said he did it to himself. I think that's interesting, an interesting theory. Am I painting on paper? I am painting on paper. Hold on a second. I'll get into it. Yeah, I am painting on paper. It is I did the drawing on watercolor paper, and then I did it on watercolor paper, and then I used acrylic matte medium to bind it. Um, Not to bind it, to seal it. I messed up. Usually I do 2 coats at least, but this time something went wrong, and I only did 1 coat. And you can see these areas that look like, oh, you can't see it right now. What am I doing? Painting. These areas, like this thing right here, that's where it didn't get good enough coverage. Dresden, little boy, I don't know what's going on with you today. You want so much attention today. So yeah, um, getting into transparency and going back to what Des said about Arthur saying to put transparency in the shadows. You don't have to. It just depends on how you paint. I've painted very opaque shadows. They also say never to put like whites into your shadows, and that's just it's a good starting place. But you can make your shadows. You know, I have a painting that's super high key, and it's like if white is 10 on the scale, right? The the painting fluctuates between 10 and like 9.5. So there's no there's good starting points and there's good reasons to like begin that way, but after a while you can like deviate from all those suggestions. Listen, little boy. Little boy. You're making it very hard to paint today. Yeah, you are. Look at this belly. Okay, little boy. I don't we all like attention? Yeah. No, he's been coming around a few times today. He normally just sleeps, but today he's wanting a lot of attention, apparently. All right, little boy, come on. You have to detach. Claws. Claws. Come on. Claws out. Ah, there we go. There's probably other reasons that Arthur Gaines says to put to paint with transparency in the shadows in the beginning, or always. Like Arthur Gaines is an amazing painter, and I would never, I would always say like listen to him. He knows what he's talking about. He's amazing. He's a very not only is he a good painter, he's a good instructor. He's got years of teaching experience. Like, yeah. Having said that, we paint in very like if you look at our painting styles, it's very different. So, we're going to get you paint differently and you get different results. It's just the way it is. So yeah, as far as painting on paper, I use this stuff uh, to seal my paper. It's a good idea to put 2 layers. Like I said, I only put one, which not the best. It's not a big deal. It just means that the paper feels a little more dry. Luckily, it doesn't feel horribly dry. And this will work to my advantage because it will dry faster, and I'll be able to go in and put in my whites on top faster. So it's not a bad thing. And as far as like the paper degrading, I'm really not worried about that. That's it's not like, I don't think it's a big deal, honestly, especially for a small painting like this. Catherine says, so now a transparent umber underpainting? Yes, it is a raw umber underpainting, exactly. And then over it, it's just going to be white. So it's going to be a, monochrome painting. So I am using just oil. I am using walnut oil to dilute it, which isn't making it thinner, or sorry, leaner. It's not making it leaner, which is a technical no-no because you want to do fat over lean, and it using oil is not actually making it leaner. But I'm not overly concerned about that. And the reason is because even though it is going to be a fat layer, not a lean layer, it's going to be a very thin layer. And the paper is going to absorb some of it too. So I'm not overly concerned with it becoming an issue regarding the brittleness. Because by the time I paint over it, by the time I paint over it, it'll either be dry. I know technically not, it won't be dry, but it'll be dry enough that I'm not worried about it cracking or drying faster than the layer on top of it. Or it'll be wet, just wet, in which case I'm not worried about it either. So that's why I'm not really overly concerned with fat over lean in this instance. But yeah, I don't use solvents in my painting process. I do use a little bit of solvents to clean my brushes, but very little and very quick. So yeah, I don't use solvents in my painting process. I don't want to have those fumes in my studio. That's really the only reason why. Otherwise, it's great to use solvents. They work really well. And my go-to is Gamsol just because it's probably the safest out of all of them. Des, it's worth mentioning since you asked earlier, a lot of painters when they what they do is they tone their canvas prior to painting, which is kind of what I did here. In the beginning stages of this, I basically toned the canvas. I don't in my paintings I don't normally tone the canvas because I don't use solvents and I don't want to wait. I could tone it with a regular layer of paint, but it would take so long to dry. I don't have the patience for it. And my brayer technique kind of achieves the same thing in a roundabout way. So yeah, that's why I don't tone my canvases. But if you use solvents, it's a lot easier to tone your canvases. Yeah, I'm just using walnut oil to dilute it. Technically, walnut oil dries faster than linseed oil, but walnut oil is also thinner in feel. Like it's more watery feeling, like less viscous compared to linseed oil. It's not a huge difference, but it's there. By the way, Rob, if you are interested, I've never seen your art. You're welcome to share a link to your art in the chat. And this only applies to you if you're in uh, oh my God, Twitch. YouTube won't let you do that. But yeah, Catherine, I've been talking about like the differences that what's it called? Using a using opaque and transparent paint, like what's the difference between them and like what are the advantages and disadvantages? Um, since I don't normally paint with transparency in my painting much. But yeah, I know a lot of people like to. I'm not, you know. It is weird. I will say this. I when I paint, I tend to put in my range of values a lot sooner in the like early on. I don't necessarily hit my darkest darks or my lightest lights, but I do get in there and get in my lights and my darks. And here there's a bit of like I'm leaving some of it for later, and that is strange to me. That is a bit foreign. I can't say that I'm a huge fan. I would rather just go in there and put it in now. Yeah. Catherine says I used to work with solvents, but I basically banned them as well. Yeah, I still use them. Like I have airtight container of solvents, and when I go to clean my brushes, I basically crack it open, swish my brushes through it, and then close it. So very, very little use of it. Um, Also, I have cats, as you've seen, and they're more sensitive to fumes and stuff. So I make sure that they're not in the room when I do that. And yeah, I don't know if they're actually. I don't know if they're actually. What's it called? If it's actually dangerous for them specifically, solvents. But generally speaking, they're more sensitive to respiratory stuff and fumes than we are. They're so much smaller and so on. So try not. I just not taking chances. It's also worth mentioning, by the way, um, that the only time I've ever actually gotten sick personally from fumes was from acrylics. So just FYI, everybody who uses acrylics, just be aware that acrylics can off gas and they can put out some noxious fumes. So just be cautious. Have ventilation, people. Catherine says, I miss it sometimes though. Yeah, that I do too. There are aspects of it for sure. It makes everything a lot easier. Not everything. It makes certain things a lot easier. The one thing that I really would like to add to my paintings in some way, and I don't know how to technically add it to my paintings if I ever want to. It'd have to, like, without making it a big deal, is paint drips, right? And without solvent, the only way I can think of doing paint drips is with like with a lot of oil, and I see some problems doing it that way as well. I don't I don't do paint drips at the moment. Yeah. Any other participants you know from OPL in the course? Rob is I don't know if I'm assuming he's from OPL. He's on Twitch right now. His username's Rob's Dead Now. I don't know if it's the same on YouTube. I don't know if he watches OPL. My assumption is that everyone from the class, watches OPL, but I don't know that for sure. Good, Michelle. That's great. I'm happy for you. Justin loves you. I'm glad he loves you. Catherine says probably, yeah, yeah. So yeah. I think but yeah, Rosalind's I think in the Rosalind's in the class. So that's fun. It's nice to it'll be nice to interact with her some more. She's always so much fun on the stream. He didn't say that this is the way to do it, but I am treating this a little like a charcoal drawing. So it'll be nice to get feedback on your work from Nicholas. It will. It absolutely will. Paper's catching a bit. Yeah, it was funny. We we had a little like paint swatch thing to do for the first for the first class, and I did it, and it'd been so long, I forgot about toning the canvas, and so when I got to the stage where I needed to put down some white on a toned canvas, I was like, oh yeah, I have to tone the canvas. So I toned the canvas, and then I was like, oh, I guess I should wait for it to dry. That'll take too long. I just did it over the wet paint. Did not quite get the proper effect, but you know. It's definitely been a while since I painted like this. Sorry, my head keeps popping into frame there. Trying not to, but this is a 9 by 12, so it's not exactly large. And the face is quite small. Yeah, I used to paint burnt umber used to be a staple in my palette. Um, I got so frustrated with how quickly it dried though that I stopped using it entirely. All the umbers, raw. Oh, this is raw umber. I used to use raw umber and burnt umber, and but yeah, I got so frustrated with how quickly it dried. And quick drying time is like something that sometimes you want. Some people want all the time. Like it just depends. I don't. For me, it's a negative generally. But yeah, I got so frustrated with it that I literally just removed it from my palette. I don't use any earth tones, even though to be fair, they're cheaper, they're much more economical to use earth tones in your painting, and also efficient because the reality is that like most things are, gray and brown. Uh, Not entirely, obviously, but like, man, the saturated colors that are on my palette are not, you know, very rarely um, representative of like the real world. It's funny, it does feel like the painting process itself, obviously I'm not finished, but it does feel like it's going really fast. Uh, you meant to ask before, but what do you do with your finished works? Most of them just sit back there, waiting to be bought, um, or to be sold, or however you want to phrase it. Um, oh, hi, connection error. Sorry, I thought I was Catherine for a second. Welcome. Good to see you. I would probably sell a lot more. I do sell paintings, but I'd probably sell a lot more if I told people that they're for sale more often, posted online on Twitter, on Instagram and Twitter more often, and also actually set up my website store. So I have some work to do this year to start selling my paintings more regularly. Yeah. And even without all of that, I still do manage to sell some paintings here and there. Uh, the biggest, uh, it's always nice when friends, and stuff buy some, uh, but someone I know bought a painting, someone in Australia. So I had to actually ship one of my paintings to Australia, which was really cool. And it's sitting on her wall underneath a Nicholas Uribe painting, which is just a good company to be in. Hey, Roslyn, welcome. I just was talking about you a minute ago that we're in the class together, and I was saying how much it'll be fun to hang out with you when possible. And thank you. Glad you like the painting. Fun to paint with friends? It is fun to paint with friends. I agree. How's your painting going? Connection error says when you get a site set up, post a link in the Discord. I like collecting paintings from people. Oh, absolutely. I will say this, you can go to my website right now. Not all my newest paintings are there, but you can look. Anyone who wants to buy a painting, if it's from my website or my Instagram, and I'm not saying you have to, and I appreciate that. That's very, very sweet of you. I absolutely will. Um, but I do sell through PayPal. I just don't have the online shop through my website set up. So anyone who wants a painting, anyone who's interested is welcome to contact me. My website does have a contact form, but I totally get it. Some people don't want to deal with that. They want to just, purchase and done. I get that too. I'm just saying in general. Connection error says, cool, I'll check it out when I'm at home later. Absolutely. And that's very sweet of you, regardless. I appreciate it. Hmm. My allergies do not want to calm down today. Catherine says, cool, I'm hoping to catch the next one. Where in the world are you at the moment? Rosalind traveling around? Yeah, Rosalind's it's like that What's that character's name? Where in the world is I can't remember the there's a cartoon or something. Connection error says I've had a friend paint my portrait. That's cool. I recreated the disappointed Napoleon painting. It's on one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite things I have. That's awesome. Carmen San Diego. Thank you. Yes, that's it. Yeah, Rosalind's like Carmen San Diego. Rosalind says, I think it will be a child's portrait. Still deciding I should repaint my value scale. LOL. Uh, okay. I didn't. I'll have to go look at your value scale. I didn't know what you're referring to. Like why? Uh, yeah. And painting children it can be painting children's portraits can be really challenging. The problem with the thing with children's and this actually goes for women too, but in a different way. But the problem with children when you paint children's portraits is every single like they're smooth. They have smooth faces. There's not a lot of like strong features, and if you put in strong brush marks and strong paint marks, it can not always. It can make them look older and less like a child. It is a general thing. I'm not talking to you specifically, Rosalind. It's a generalization here. Because I'm streaming and I have to fill time. Uh, yeah. Rosalind says it was such a good exercise, and I realized I should make it more of a habit. Endless possibilities, and the chart is such a good reminder. Yeah. I don't know. The chart. I, I I've never been one for the charts that much. I know some people do the like what's it called? They do those color charts, the extensive like color charts. They never they never really spoke to me. I've done color experiments in the past, which were I felt very useful, but like the big charts, I don't know. They don't, you know. But everyone's different. I'm not if you get value out of it, by all means, I think it's great. I just, it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm so above this. It's just a, mental thing of like whatever kind of speaks to you. Hey, Don Leo, welcome. Don Lee's in the Twitch chat. Good to see you, man. Don Leo's a Twitch streamer who does. That's such a weird way of phrasing that. I'm sorry, Don Lee. Don Lee is a streamer who streams currently on Twitch, and he does artwork, digital artwork, mostly digital artwork, and he's a lot of fun. Has a fun stream covers a lot of different topics. And yeah, friend of the stream. That sounds a bit more normal. Sorry, Donley, I'm a little out of it today, apparently. How you doing? But yeah, Rosalind, I did some art. I did some color experiments where I was like trying to match. Like I painted. I did a one of the color experiments I did. I tried to match. Um, I painted. I used quinacridone rose and quinacridone magenta, and I mixed them with different colors. I tried to see which one could, which direction they could go in, like how much I could push them in either direction and so on. Um, and I came to the conclusion that quinacridone rose is simply better than magenta. Like it can achieve, you can you can basically take quinacridone rose and mix quinacridone magenta with it, making the same hue. But you cannot, it can't go the other way around. You can't take quinacridone magenta and mix an equivalent quinacridone rose. It's not capable of it. So stuff like that. I also did an exercise where this one I found very interesting. There are these sayings, don't paint with black. I was like, all right, or mix your own black or whatever. So I was like, okay, I want to test this. So I took yellow, which is the most difficult paint I think to mix with black because it just turns dirty looking and like not a good color. So I took yellow and I mixed it with ivory black. I mixed it with a black that I what's it called? That I mixed. I mixed it with chromatic black, which is a pre-mixed black. Um, and I think there was a fourth one in there. I just don't remember what it was right now. And there was no difference between them. They all look the same. I mean, slight variation for what's it called? For you know, the different strength and the leaning of the black, but otherwise it is all the same. There's no difference. Um, so yeah. One second, excuse me for just a second. Black is your favorite color? Yeah, mine too. Um, so yeah, so that whole like, oh, mix your own blacks, or don't use black out of the tube, or it makes your colors dirty. Like it kind of does, but so does a mixed black. Like they all do the same thing. So, anyways, that was. So I've done experiments like that. With color. Yeah. Rosalind says it's the reminder of slowing down for me. You need the embroidered you need it embroidered on the pillow, slow down while mixing on the palette. Fair. Yeah, when I first started with oils, I wasn't like just I wasn't good enough. I didn't have enough control over the medium, and so I pre-mixed all my paints. I would always pre-mix. And then as time went on and I was more and more secure with my abilities to mix on the fly, I stopped pre-mixing. Love your composition. That's a good pose. I wish I could take credit for it. I'm using stock images for this. I mean, I did pick it, but that's not the same as taking the photo. And I just messed this up. Right. I literally just fixed this to mess it up again. Yeah, I was trying to find something that would give me some of the things that I saw in the class, like the same kind of I don't want to say features, but the same kind of elements like the clothing and so on. I do have a bunch of found photography that I wanted to use. I was planning on using for this, but it'll have to wait till maybe next exercise or something. Because I'm not using solvents when I go to like lighten up some of the areas, it's a lot easier for me to do it in a more mechanical way than to use like obviously I don't have solvents, so I can oil to like go in uh and like lighten it up. So what brush am I using? Um this is the Silver Silk 88 by I guess that is the company name. The Silver Silk 88 number 4 flat. It's just a synthetic flat. It's a softer brush, honestly. Not like horribly soft, but not, not a stiff brush, that's for sure. If I wasn't doing transparency, I would not start the painting with this. It is way too soft for that. But because we're doing transparency, I don't want to use my stiffer brushes, which won't give me that control. Love a good flat brush. Yeah, I pretty much only use flats. I was using a Filbert. That's only because it's like what I had quick access to. I don't, and I'm probably, I shouldn't be doing this, but I have some brushes that I've been using and I haven't been taking good care of them. So I'm slowly killing them. It's not saying that's smart to do. It is dumb to do. I just keep forgetting to clean them properly and, you know, maintain them like I should. They are, for the most part, cheaper brushes, but yeah, don't, it's not a good habit to have. Hi, Dresden. I'm not picking you up again because last time I did, you tried to eat my face. It's getting late and they're starting to want dinner, even though it's early for dinner. Cats are bad at telling time. You know what I think is actually going to be the most challenging part of this whole exercise? And I think honestly, I think I'm going to fail at it. Uh, Catherine says, I've got to go. Bedtime. Thanks for answering my questions. Have a nice stream. Bye. No worries. Have a good one, Catherine. Um, yeah, the thing I think I'm going to struggle with the most in this exercise is the concept of like leaving the painting, uh, like once you put in your darks and you go in with your lights, like I don't know if you can, if you're supposed to go back in with your darks. It seems kind of counterproductive, uh, or not productive, but counter to like the exercise. And I think that's something I'm going to struggle with because I don't paint like that. I'm very much a like back and forth painter. I mean, that's one of the reasons I don't use transparency in my paintings is because I often go back into my paintings and like overpaint and paint again and back and forth. And if you want transparency, you kind of have to leave it alone. But we'll see how it goes, obviously. All right. I'm not going anywhere, but I'm going to take a quick break to stretch after I do one little. But yeah, like you can see, well, I don't know if you can see it, but there's like this golden hue that comes out from the paper slash paint with the transparency. It's such a beautiful, effect that you wouldn't get when you paint opaquely. You can achieve something I don't want to say similar, but like you could paint that in, but it would be different. Just I don't want to say what's better or worse, but it would be different. But yeah. All right. Stretching time. It's so funny when my camera can't find my face. All right, it's not Dresden this time, but we're gonna get a different cat right now. So face game. Hi, Misu. Yeah, you're an angry little girl. I know. I know. Such an angry little girl. I know the reason you're here is you want dinner, even though it's an hour early. Yeah, I know it's an hour early, but you still want it now. Rosalind's saying, um, she was talking about the Nicholas's class and how he was talking about sensing the paper in his work. Um, yeah, I disagreed with him on that. I didn't want to comment. I was going to comment, but you know, he's teaching a class, so it's not like I'm going to get into it with him during that. But I have a different perspective. It's not a disagreement, it's just a different perspective on it. She's so pretty. The cat, yeah, she's a little pain in the butt sometimes. But yeah, she's pretty. She's an angry little girl though. I haven't met this kitty before, Donley says. Really? That was Misu. Uh, yeah, she's the only cat that has short hair and that we have. She's sweet, but she's also angry. She'll like hiss at me even if when I pick her up sometimes. She's very vocal about that stuff, but she's sweet. But yeah, they're all coming around right now because they want dinner. That's bottom line. But yeah, I disagree a little with Nicholas about his perspective on paper, and it's a mild disagreement. I can get into it in just a minute. Rosalind, we have 3 cats and 1 dog. So Nicholas was talking about his perspective on the paper and so on, and I get where he's coming from. He's right ultimately in a way where like if you're going to be using, you know, a surface and like it's if you cover it with too much medium or too much ground, you kind of negate the purpose of even using that surface, so why even bother? And it's great to have like to take advantage of the um, unique elements of each substrate that you use, not substrate. And he's right. However, he's also I have a different perspective on it, which is I pick my substrates for different reasons. A lot of times I pick things for, and there's economical reasons. You know, there is space and size reasons, there's shipping reasons. Like, there's a lot of different reasons to pick different, you know, substrates to work on. But I don't always want them to feel very different. So if I just put on a bunch of acrylic matte medium, then it always feels like I'm painting on acrylic matte medium, regardless of if I'm painting on paper or wood or canvas or metal, whatever it is, it just all feels the same. And that's actually a good thing, because then I know exactly what to expect. I didn't do a good job on this because I only put in one layer, but it's working in my favor this time, so it's not a bad thing. But yeah. Des says, you have a zoo? Oh, that's crazy. Des, how many do you got going? So I actually think that while he's right in some ways, he's also missing an avenue of it. Because, like, let's put it this way, not the best watercolor paper, but a thick watercolor paper makes a great substrate if you put on some acrylic medium on it, you know. Even if it's not the best quality paper, but it's a thick paper, it's, you know. And by quality, I mean because watercolor has specific needs to make it a good quality or, you know, not the best quality. But those don't apply to oil painting the same way. Des says 3 dogs, 8 cats. That's between me and my adult daughter and my sister. We all live together. That is a lot. That is a lot. And there's another thing to keep in mind when you're talking about like surfaces to paint on and so on. There's also prep. How much prep does everything demand? I want less prep in my life. So things that the less prep, the better. Of course, there's a financial aspect to things too, right? Because uh, you know, if you buy pre-made panels all the time, yeah, no prep, but like that gets real expensive real fast. So it's a balancing act. Rosalind says 3 dogs. Oh, she's saying that's a petting zoo. Yeah, apparently Des has a lot of people and a lot of animals in her house. Like I said, I'm not saying that I like disagree with Nicholas on this. I have a different perspective on it. The great thing about acrylic matte medium, by the way, is it dries fast. Dries fast. It's easy to put on. You put it on most things, not everything, but most things. So that's why I've kind of chosen it, and it's a very it makes a smooth surface and a non-absorbent surface. So that's why I kind of I use that for the most part, or that's my go-to. I hate gesso. Apparently, you can make gesso very smooth and nice, but it requires a pain in the ass amount of work. Or if you buy like what's it called? There's a company that makes pre-gessoed boards that are really good. Can't remember the name right now. But you know, they're expensive. They're not like overpriced, they're just expensive. In case anyone's curious why I don't mind putting my hand on the canvas and leaving all these marks, it's because there is literally like nothing happening in that area. So I'm just gonna paint over it eventually. And it's easy because I have my phone in the way right here, so it's kind of hard for me to use the mall stick right now. It's just easier. Yeah, there's like literally nothing there in the painting, in the reference. I'll be honest, I don't mind the beginning stage of this where you're just like laying in big stuff and you're using the transparency to kind of model form that way. Um, but at this stage now where I'm like trying to model in more of the details and like form, I'm really not enjoying this. I didn't realize I would dislike it so much. Um, because when I go in and I paint, like right now, let's say I paint in this, right? And I covered up too much and I want to like lighten up some of this. Normally I just go mix in some white and start lightening it up. But if I want to keep the transparency, I have to go in and kind of like scrub it back. And that doesn't doesn't feel terribly natural. It could be also partially because of the brush I'm using that's like not well suited for it. I don't know. I'm not liking that. I don't like that. I don't like to use my brush like that. So yeah, interesting. Excuse me for 1 second. Just wanted to turn the hall light on because it is weird having like a just dark out there. But yeah, I'm discovering aspects of it that I'm like, oh, I don't like that. Don Lee, would a palette knife be good for doing that? No, it would not. A palette knife would be good if I was putting the paint on a lot thicker. It would be useful. My scraping tool does an okay job, but it removes it far too much to be like subtle. Like this line that I have here around her lips, that was done with the wipeout tool. It's a great tool for what it does, but it's not good for like the subtle stuff. There are other brushes I could use that would, if I used a stiffer brush or a bright is essentially a flat that's shorter. Those would all work. Um, but yeah, or maybe work, I should say, because um, it does depend a bit on the surface as well. So this is too white uh, for the nose. But I'm trying to get the form back in, and I was losing the edge a little bit. So my just going to wipe out more. So my drawing on here is wrong, just slightly. Um, Normally that would be a much easier fix, but because the pencil is there already, it's a lot harder. And the reason a palette knife wouldn't be good for this is it's just too thin, right? Like it's not gonna be able to really scrape it very well. So, like I said, my drawing here is slightly wrong. The nose line is here, and the nose line needs to actually be here, which is a difference of like 1 millimeter, literally, maybe less. But it's hard to do when I don't have anything to cover up the pencil. I will. I'm going to be going over this with some white, but yes. Now she looks like she has a beard. Gotta adjust that a little bit. Yeah, if you want to see, Donley, if you want to see what a palette knife will do to it, here, I'll show you. So this is a very thin area, but I've been making marks with my hands. So if I use a palette knife, it's just not able to get past the ridges of the texture of the page, right? Whereas the wipeout tool, which is a like rubber or silicone, just you know is firm enough to wipe it off, but soft enough to kind of get in there. Yeah, man, absolutely. It makes sense, but it's if you don't work with it, it's not necessarily something you would be aware of. But yeah. All right. So the question is, do I leave it like this and leave it to dry and then go back in and go in with some white? And um, that's what I'm leaning towards right now. Um, yeah. Like there are definitely things that I feel like need to be fixed, but I also feel like I'll have so much easier time fixing them if I can just go in with some white paint and do it that way. Don't know if that's in the spirit of the homework. I think it is. I'm not positive. Um, it looks great. Thank you, Rosalind. That's very sweet of you. Because the reason I say I think it's in the what's it called, in the spirit of the exercise is because we did these scales and the scales had white in them. So I'm like, well, if the scales had white, then I assume the painting's supposed to have white in it, not just transparency. I could ask, I assume, but the problem is if I leave this to dry, I will be locked in on some of it. So I'll have to, if I ask, I'll have to know before and be able to compensate for it. But yeah, I feel like I need to because there's like pencil lines that I have to cover, and the only way I can cover them is with white. Robert says, yeah, that's the problem I ran into. I let it dry overnight, and now some of the darks are locked in. Yeah, well, I mean, hi, Robert. Welcome. Um, yeah, that's exactly the problem. However, like if you're going in with white, that's not entirely a problem, right? Because you can always paint over, right? Like that's my thinking at least. My problem is I locked in some pencil lines that are in the wrong place. And so the only way I can cover those pencil lines is with either very dark paint or white. But yeah, some other little stuff I know I can do here. Yeah, that's why I don't paint with transparency most of the time. I'm too, like, I go back and forth on my paintings too much to take advantage of the transparency. Because I don't just put down marks and leave them as is. Um, you know, it's, I don't know. I feel like if I was a quote unquote better painter, I would, but I also feel like it's an anti antithesis. I can't say that word right now. It's the opposite of like my approach to painting in general, and so it doesn't fit with my approach to painting, generally speaking. So I'm not sure if that's really the right way of looking at it. But yeah. Um, and the reason I say that is because I've kind of developed this thing on painting where it's like I don't I don't want to have any kind of like fear in my painting about like getting it right or making mistakes or anything like that. And so if I can always go back and paint back into things, I'm never concerned about messing it up. Uh, and so that there is that. And then the other thing too is that I like to take the mistakes and the mess ups and the things that get like randomly pushed in the wrong place and leave some of it there because it adds something that wouldn't be there otherwise, and wouldn't be in the painting at all. And sometimes that stuff can be like make no sense in a logical like image sense, but it works for the painting and improves the painting, in my opinion. Robert says, yeah, that's kind of the performance painting, sort of like what Nicholas was talking about with Richard Schmidt yesterday. Yeah, there's something about it. But it's not entirely true, right? Because if you paint with a lot of transparency, uh, you get access to certain elements that you don't get when you paint completely without transparency, right? So there is an element of like functionality that you actually gain. However, there are elements of functionality that you lose. So it's nothing's a, you know, nothing's a perfect way of painting. I suppose the perfect way of painting is the way that achieves the image you want, which is a total cop out of an answer, you know. But yeah, there's no perfect way. Like the thing I'm most familiar with is there's a color called it's a green gold, I think it is, and it's literally like a green color that that turns gold when it's painted on translucently. And it's like you're not going to be able to really take advantage of that color if you paint opaquely. Now, can I paint green gold effect without that paint? Yeah. Will it have the same luminosity? It depends on the composition and how well, it is done. Because, like, you can't really make things glow, but you can make things appear to glow, right? So, you know. Robert says, yeah, I think the most interesting painters tend to mix up all of those methods, anyways. Sure. Like the easiest thing I can point to is like is this on focused on the right spot? In this painting, right? Like these areas where it goes from dark to light and it's a little as it does, it's like becoming more saturated, right? That wouldn't happen if I was painting opaquely. However, just because that wouldn't happen on its own doesn't mean I can't put that into the painting by simply mixing and Robert, you know this. I'm a lot of times I should mention I'm talking I don't know who knows what and I don't know who's watching. Sometimes there's other so I talk a lot in generalizations to everybody. Just FYI. But yeah, I can mix that in there. I don't have to like just, rely on transparency to achieve that look, right? Sorry, my foot's cramping up on me. Yeah, I'm really not a fan of using my brush like this. It's driving me crazy a little bit. Yeah, it's already starting to slightly tack up on me. I definitely didn't put enough uh, acrylic medium on. All right, I'm almost done for the day. There's a few more marks that I need to put in here for sure. Yeah, this brush is a lot stiffer, way more capable, but it doesn't it doesn't go down as smooth because of that. So definitely a compromise. I said this. I also said this when I was doing my. I did a study for the first time with the Zorn palette, and it's a great palette. I do think it's a really good palette. Having said that, I really, really missed all of my cool colors when I was using the Zorn palette, and yeah, kind of feeling like that here too. Like I really want uh access to that color range. It's frustrating that I don't have it right now. Robert says, I've been using the Zorn palette a lot in the past 2 months. I used it for the first time like a month ago, 2 months ago. I don't know. Um, and I think it was good. I think I would have gotten a lot more from you doing it had I not already done like a bunch of other different types of painting exercises. Um, but yeah, Robert, I was about to ask you how you like it, and you said I quite like it. It's refreshing to not use blue. Oh, okay. I hate that aspect of it. That part drove me crazy. Absolutely drove me crazy. You can see my palette, my normal palette here though. It's um, white, uh, cad lemon or bismuth yellow, quinacridone rose, phthalo blue, and Mars black. All the colors in my palette are like um, they're ridiculous. They're very strong, very saturated. I have to constantly mix everything, and they are uh, basically they're bullies of color, you know. So that's my palette. So the Zorn palette was, I don't know. I felt like I was missing a lot in it, but yeah. I got a lot more out of it over time. I got more used to it, but I really enjoyed being able to get back to my palette after I was done with the painting. Let's see. Donley says, looks like you're off to a nice start. I got to get going. Have a great rest of your stream. Everyone, hey, Donley. No worries. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. Have a great night. Yeah. I'm going to be ending soon, I think. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this to dry at this stage, and then I'm going to go back in with some white, and yeah, I think that is the plan. Like I said, I'm assuming that's in the spirit of the exercise because that's what we did with the what's it called? Um, with the swatches. So my assumption is that is the exercise with the painting. Rosalind says I enjoyed the Zorn palette a lot. That's good. I'm glad people like it. It's a very like I can see it being. I mean, it's very close to like skin tones, so it really works for most things like that. I'm not a fan. But I just don't yeah. I just wanted like my palette has a ton of cool colors on it. They can go warm, don't get me wrong, but they have a leaning towards the cools. And I really missed that when I was painting. Because even quinacridone rose and even what's it called? Uh lemon yellow. Lemon yellow is kind of like, or bismuth yellow is kind of like a cool yellow ultimately. So yeah, I was missing those colors. Right. All right. I'm going to be calling it a day in just a few minutes, letting everyone know. Thank you all for stopping by. I will keep working on this tomorrow because I'm streaming tomorrow. So I will work on this some more tomorrow. I'll finish it. I think at least that's the plan. Yeah, I'll finish this tomorrow on stream. Um, I stream currently, until further notice. I stream Sunday day, afternoon, evening kind of thing. And then yeah, I guess that's accurate. And then Monday night and Wednesday night. Um, yeah, that's my stream schedule. So um, I plan on keeping that until further notice. Obviously, things arise occasionally, but I've been pretty consistent. I'm pretty proud of that fact for a while now. So don't plan on changing that anytime soon, unless I decide to actually make a change to my schedule. So I'll be back here tomorrow. I hope people can join me. If you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, you're welcome to leave a comment. If you have any questions, you know, more than welcome to ask. Yeah. And I cannot stop messing with things as I say goodbye. I like to give the goodbye a bit of time because there's a bit of a delay and people will want to say stuff sometimes towards then. And I like to give the opportunity. But yeah, gotta stop doing that. Putting my finger in the painting. Super fun to catch your stream. See you in class. Absolutely, Roslyn. And like I said, if you're up late, I stream usually it's around 8 or 8:30 till 10:30 on Monday and Wednesday. It's after work, so I have to do it when I can. But yeah. Alrighty, have a good night, everybody. Um, have a good rest of your weekend. I don't know. Bye.